Some poke fun at Chinese arts because we do not have a grappling component in most of the traditional arts. But I believe that the Praying Mantis 8 elbows form contains the answers to nearly every grappling attack that is brought against us. And I'm going to point these out as I go through dividing the body into 8 elbows, section 3. And I think you're really going to find some gems. You have to realize most Chinese martial arts were developed from battlefield techniques. Nobody wants to end up on the ground in a battlefield where a horse can run across you. His partner can come up and stab you with a spear. Once you're on the ground on a battlefield, you're kind of screwed. So we avoid that. I want to emphasize that thing that I said in the opening, that the answer to most of grappling attacks against us are answered with an elbow strike. Now, it's not always the literal elbows, but in the 8 elbows form, the 8 elbows talk about different parts of the body, different corners of the body, like the hip, the shoulder, the head. Different areas are used in striking, and those are actually the 8 elbows that consist of 8 short striking methods. Okay, John grabs my wrist. I step forward. Notice how I bend his elbow and prepare him for the thrust to the solar plexus. Now I can counter, and now I control his elbow. If John tries to grab my shoulders, I step in, rising elbow to the diaphragm. Bam! Right into the face. Knee strike. Okay? And these just all happen naturally to me. I don't really have to think about these because I've trained them for so long. If we're in more of a grappling situation, I step in, elbow down. Now you'll notice my leg is nice and tucked behind him, as we always do in Mantis. Now this elbow drives down to drive him backwards, and I'm driving right onto his sternum to throw him backwards. Fortunately, he's got the lead wall to hold him up. But in a real situation, the wall wouldn't be holding him up. The wall would be an added punch to the back of his head for me. Okay, John shoot does the shoot that they do in wrestling. That's the natural response, is to quickly take the neck down and right on the spine. Now, you might say, but you don't see these in MMA. That's because there's rules against it in MMA. You'll notice in all tournaments you go to, you're never allowed to hit to the back. You're never allowed to hit to the kidneys. You're never allowed to hit to the back of the head. And there's a reason for that. It's very hard, number one, to endure those type of strikes. A strike to the kidney with the downward elbow, a strike to the cervical spine with the downward elbow. Can you imagine the lawsuits? Let me give you an example from sparring. I had a student, and he had been with me about 6 months. And he had to go up against, because he was a big guy, tall and heavy, there was nobody else to fight except a guy who was already an instructor in Bā Zhǒu. Now, Bā Zhǒu is excellent for its takedowns. And so my student, after 6 months, has to fight this guy just because same weight class. And he wanted to spar, so, you know, he agreed, yeah, we'll do this. So, student comes up, Bā Zhǒu guy moves in, takes him down. Student gets ready to fight, takedown, takedown. And why? Because every time the Bā Zhǒu guy exposed his back, or the back of his neck, or his kidneys, they were illegal targets. My student stood no chance because there was no place he could hit this guy, which was smart on the Bā Zhǒu instructor's his strategy. but it totally screwed my students. So I've always since that point on, very much worked on drilling the back of people that like to shoot, people that like to upend us. And that was a learning point for me, a learning point for my student. And hey, the Bagua Zhang guy got to practice his techniques.